It is 7 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. Thank you, everyone, for joining tonight. My name is Ryan Kelchner. Also in the office here is Steve Bennett. On the call remotely will be Matt Otwell, Kathy, hopefully, and also George. So as a reminder, this webinar is being recorded. Please wait until the end to ask your questions, but I'll make sure that we get to those after we get through these slides here. So for the agenda, we'll go over the helmet process, look at the schedule that we've been tweaking here and there, kind of to cater towards this year. The escort procedure, which George will touch on. You'll be able to see the map of the facility and the layout, the coaches meeting that will take place Monday and kind of what that'll look like and where that will take place, where we can put our skis, thanks to Whitetail being accommodating with that, overnight, opening ceremonies, any other stuff that's going on outside of the competition, the rules, updates this year, along with some stuff for families and spectators, and also been following the weather, so we'll update you on that also.
And just a reminder for those of you on the phone, if this is your first webinar, you should have a taskbar there. If you have a question, you can hit the raise your hand function, and that will indicate that you have a question, or you can type in the field where you can ask a question, where it says questions, and we will respond accordingly throughout the webinar.
So our goal of the meeting tonight is just to build on the preseason webinar that we had a few months ago and to answer your questions mainly just so we're all prepared for the 2020 Winter Games. As a reminder here, I believe a lot of these are returning coaches that are on the line tonight, but for anybody else who does not know, no athlete or volunteer may participate in any manner or any time in a Special Olympics Maryland event without a current medical form or volunteer application. That is something we're really enforcing, and I believe that currently everybody in GMS is up to date on that, so I'm happy to see that.
Yeah, and again, this is for any sport or any event that we have. We did have one or two challenges or miscommunications leading up to some of the on-snow trainings. So just a reminder that medicals must be good through the actual state championship. So just a reminder for that. This is just something, hopefully you guys were informed from your head of delegation. Obviously, we've made the change and the switch to the new helmets last year and this year. And I know that the deadline here is today, but we did share this with the head of delegations a couple days ago. This is for future. Obviously, anyone competing this year and or last year had to have their updated helmets in place. But this is a contact moving forward to the future. And if you have any needs that you know of coming up for next year, this is the individual that you can contact there from Endurance Enterprises, and they made a great deal through Special Olympics North America contacts. The retail helmets were anywhere from $190 up to $300. For cost for Special Olympics programs, it's basically $100. They only do come in black, but again, if you have any information, talk to your area directors, and Ryan may be able to help. But this is not something that Special Olympics did. This is Special Olympics North America, so we don't have any other contacts other than what you see on this slide. Again, just making you aware.
Regarding the check-in process at Winter Games, so for each of the days, the check-in will take place at 8 a.m., and this will be the head of the delegation only. It'll be in the control center, so that'll be right next to, on the diagram we'll show you later, where we can store our skis overnight. But again, that's 8 a.m. and just the head of delegation, just so it doesn't get too cramped in there. And we have enough coaches with the athletes at that time while the head delegation is getting that paperwork. The bibs will be distributed at that time, and those bibs will be used for the entire Winter Games. So please return any unused tickets by 1 p.m. on that day. And parking, please only park in the public parking areas. This is usually just an issue with Snowshoe in their area there. But just please be respectful to Whitetail with that and park in the designated areas. So the helmet process, which now we're a few years into the new guidelines with that, no one will be allowed to participate in the giant slalom or the Super G courses without the proper helmet. There's no exception to that. We have been enforcing that at time trials also, and you all have been very great to work with in those regards. A lot of you came up during the on snow trainings and received that green sticker. We do have some nicer ones that we got ordered that we're hoping will come in time for winter games. They'll be holographics, and they'll have an area that you can put your county on, so it's easier to recognize your helmets, and they look pretty nice too. So we will be checking those before the time trials event. So the athletes and partners will go up to the check area, which will be on the second floor of the lodge, which is where we did our registration for on snow training. At that point, we'll certify that helmet, put the new sticker on, put it on top of the green sticker if they already have one, and they're set for the weekend. For time trials, athletes and unified partners have been registered in the events in GMS. Coaches will have the opportunity to adjust competitive events after time trials. Steve, can you explain the difference of kind of once they go through time trials that they can change their?
Yeah, if you guys as coaches need to change your levels for the athletes and/or partners, just make sure that you indicate that at the control center immediately after they have done whatever they were scheduled for. The important thing here is that if you are, and you'll see the schedules coming up in a minute in regards to the time trials, if they're moving from, say, intermediate to novice, they will need to also participate in the novice time trials for those given events. If they do not, then they can either be scratched from the winter games or do their best at the intermediate level. Hopefully that makes sense, and I know the returning coaches know that as well.
Steve, this is Mike. Before we get off from the helmets, the question came, if someone could clarify, are helmets required for the novice courses as well?
No, Mike, from my understanding, that will only be, oh, you mean the novice giant slalom?
That's correct. That's the question from Coach Jank.
I believe the answer to that is yes, because it is a giant slalom course. I can also check on that, and I'll send out an email tomorrow regarding that.
Thank you.
So the winter game schedule here, again, Sunday, we've backed up the time in regards to the downtime that we heard feedback from the coaches and delegation members last year, leading up to dinner in the evening and the opening ceremony. So we've backed up everything on Sunday. With this being said, you'll see that delegation registration begins at 12:30. However, Alpine warm-ups are at 12:30, so we will be there earlier. I know that there's been at least one county program has indicated that they want to come in early and take advantage and get their tickets and rentals earlier on that day. And if you want to take advantage of that and get there early in the morning, just send a notification to Ryan and we will coordinate with you. We'll most likely be up there and be open 8:30-ish, getting everything set up. So our hope is to go ahead and get the tickets on Saturday, get them prepared for delegation check-in on Sunday. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But again, we will be there earlier than indicated here on the schedule, but this does enable a lot less downtime for the athletes leading into the dinner at Whitetail on Sunday and then right into opening ceremony on Sunday. So here's your basic schedule for the time trials based on county programs and the levels. Again, here, as I was indicating earlier, make sure that if you have athletes who are in between a novice and or intermediate or level, or if they're at the intermediate and advanced level, just let them know which level they need to be switched to if need be. But the big thing is if they're in an intermediate and need to go down to novice, you need to check one of these novice time slots to make sure that those athletes participate in the novice time trials. In addition to that, you'll notice that the glide and super glide time trials will occur on Monday. And as I mentioned earlier, Again, delegation registration and the warm-ups. If you want to register early, just notify Ryan, and again, we'll make arrangements to meet you there to get your tickets and get you set up earlier than indicated on the slide deck. Tubing park. This is just something I wanted to make everyone aware of. There's the note you'll see in our overall schedule coming up is we were just notified and communicated to the snowshoeing coaches and area directors and HODs that snowshoeing time trials have been moved and rescheduled from Sunday to Monday. With that being said, we wanted to provide some opportunities for athletes and others who are coming up on Sunday in order to partake in the delegation dinner, as well as the opening ceremony for Winter Games. So with that being said, we have made it available to those snowshoeing athletes and participants to take advantage of tubing on Sunday only. We are also making that available for those delegations who are coming up early or have a 2-hour time slot later in the afternoon, that this is available to you. There's a couple considerations or restrictions or notifications, if you will, in regards to this. We need to know by Thursday at 2 p.m. if any of your Alpine crew wants to do this. Obviously, time trials are the main thing that we need to take care of. But if you're an early arrival delegation and you want to do this, the opportunity is available. So we need to know by Thursday at 2 p.m. how many people want the tickets. And the other thing with that is this is not something we're coordinating and billing. This is something you need to talk to your area director about or your head of delegation, because the tickets are $17 per person and they come in 2-hour blocks of time. The regular rental rate for this is $31, so it's almost in half of what they charge their general customers. But this is something you need to pay for on site through Whitetail. That is not something Special Olympics Maryland will be coordinating other than giving you the information. So that's something you guys just need to notify Ryan, and based on availability, we'll let you know the situation there. But once you request your tickets, there's no refunds and no changes. You will be charged for those. The reason being is that there's limited capacity, and Whitetail will be pulling those numbers for the hour blocks based on requests, which means that now they no longer have the ability to resell those tickets for capacity issues. The question was raised, are family members part of that? Of course they are. However, what we would like you to indicate is if you have family members versus delegation members would take precedent or have first right of refusal, if you will, and then we can let family members as they want. If they want to do it as general public and pay the $31, that's something they can do. If they want to take advantage of the Special Olympics Maryland rate, again, work through Ryan, and we'll inform you on other details there. The overall schedule here, as you can see, this is, we talked about Sunday. Going into Monday, breakfast will be at the hotels, and then you'll see the schedule here. We talked about the shift in snowshoeing. That has no effect at Alpine at this time. They were running slopes the last couple of days, have been making snow the last couple of days as well. They had a full day today, and they have no concerns in regards to having slopes available to us from Whitetail's perspective. And we may have Matt chime in here in a minute in regards to that. So a reminder here that on Monday, the dinner will be back at the hotel at the Ramada Plaza. That's where all delegation members are being housed this year, thanks to Jane Dunn and her work with the hotels, and also the athlete dance. The family reception is right, probably about a 5-minute walk at most to Homewood Suites. That's that evening during the dance as well. It's a really great opportunity. If there are family members who are part of your delegation and they want to attend, just work with your head of delegation and make sure that all other scenarios and chaperoning duties are taken care of before you go as a family member to the Homewood Suites. But a reminder, that's strictly for family members. It's not for athletes and partners, that type of stuff, as they should be at the dance with their peers and enjoying the evening. So then we move into Tuesday, and basically the same thing here. You'll see the registration. A reminder, as Ryan said, each morning you need to check in to get your tickets for the day, and also let us know if there's any scratches and or if there's any issues with your bibs, as the bibs that you're issued on the first day are designed and made for each individual athlete and partner to wear throughout the winter games.
Regarding the weather conditions up there, we've had a weekly or bi-weekly call as we've gotten closer to winter games here regarding the weather. It does look like it's going to be around 48 or so as a high and around freezing while we're there, with some possible rain on Monday. But everybody that we've talked to at Whitetail is certain that the conditions will be good enough for us to ski, and we will work with them day of to figure out what makes the most sense and if we have to make any changes that morning, which you will be notified of.
And there's just a note there, again, with the snowshoeing schedule being modified and updated. If there's any questions on that, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Ryan or Zach, which their information is at the end of the webinar. So here's the overall basic layout of the facility. Nothing really has changed from years past, except for one minor tweak, and that's with the family hospitality and merchandise area. In the past, it has been up on the Solstice restaurant level, the same level as where we've had the check-ins for the on-snow training dates. If you see here in the middle of the screen, family hospitality and merchandise, and then the arrow going up right by the stairs as you walk into the main resort, there's a retail coffee shop there to your left. It used to be Starbucks, and it's, forget the name of it now, something like something Hut. But again, that retail coffee shop is where family hospitality and merchandise sales will be only on Monday and Tuesday. That's the one location for the winter games. Also, this is where, other than the control center, this is also where family members can go to get their walking passes and sign their waivers in order to go out on the snow and walk on the snow areas to get a closer view of the competition. And as Ryan indicated, if you look up above, kind of center left, the overnight ski storage area is over near the rental building, right past the rental building, and that's where we have been able to store the skis overnight for those Alpine competitors. Again, a reminder, that's just for skis, no helmets, boots, that type of stuff. It's strictly for skis.
Here you can see the layout of the mountain. Each delegation packet will have a picture of this, and also I'm going to make a few extras on plan A and B after talking with Whitetail and kind of what that might look like. But that is going to be our go-to map for plan A there for winter games. George, if you're on the line here, we're to the escorts part, if you were able to talk about that.
George, I'm going to unmute your line. Let's see if you can speak now, George.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, my friend.
Okay, great. Good evening, everybody. Before I talk about the escort procedure, if I could just add one comment about the glide, super glide. It was really nice to have at the on snow practice day that we did last week. It was really nice to have at least two of the coaches asking for a practice glide and super glide course. Unfortunately, because they are more crowded on the weekends, it's very difficult to set up one of those courses. We will try again on that Sunday if it's at all possible. If not, we'll get it set up as early as possible Monday morning so that those athletes can get some practice in on their courses. I appreciate that. It's always a good way the more practice, the better for a beginner.
And George, I'm going to interrupt real quick. Matt Otwell, our director of Alpine Skiing, is on the call, but is having problems with his audio. Al, Jank, and in regards to others who may have had the question in regards to the hats, the helmets. For novice, they are not required. It's only intermediate and advanced giant slalom and super G. So just want to make sure that everyone's aware of that. Again, the new FIS safety helmets are only required for the intermediate and advanced giant slalom and super G.
And Matt's line should be open now also.
Okay. Thanks,
yeah,
Mike.
hey Steve, we went through the rules and it was very again, it's kind of skating the line a little bit, but the rules only indicate they only indicate intermediate and advanced for giant slalom and slalom because of the length of the courses. They did not specify novice in the rules.
Perfect. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay. Just to review the new escorting procedure that we implemented last year. You'll recall that the issue was that we always have a difficult time getting enough volunteers for a weekday event. So rather than staging in one location and then having volunteers escort everyone, we moved the staging to the beginning of each course. So we now are asking the coaches and partners to be the escorts, which also gives you an opportunity to be a spectator as well. You're in a good position to watch the race. But what we're asking is that the coaches and the partners will escort the athlete to the staging area, and there will be one at the top of each race course. There will be a staging volunteer there who will check them in and put them in their heats. At the scheduled competition time, they are then sent over to the race course. So the times on the schedule, I think it might say this later, but just to emphasize it, the times that you see on the schedule, when the competition schedules are distributed, are the time that you need to be at staging. So you will need to check, that will be your check-in time at staging. Then there'll be a scheduled competition time, and that's when athletes will be sent from staging to the race course. Every event is 2 runs. So we ask the coaches go to the end of the race course and wait for their athletes. We will also have a staging volunteer at the end of each race course to help you make sure that you get everybody who's in the group. So you go to the end of the race course, wait for all the athletes in that heat, and then escort the athletes back to the staging area because they have to take their second run. So again, every event is 2 runs. So you won't leave the end of the race course after the first run until all the athletes are there. That's what the staging volunteer is there for, to make sure you have everybody. So then we just go through the same procedure again. You come back up to staging. Staging volunteer sends the athletes to the race course for the second run. Again, coaches go to the end of the race course to wait while the athletes are making their second run. After the second run, then the coaches escort the athletes to the awards area, which is in the patio. And I believe, Steve, are they staging for awards inside the rental area again?
Yes, they are. We will have a tent that we have had in the past out on that patio area where you where you can put your skis and rest them up right outside of the retail area. That's primarily going to be used for opening ceremony staging for the banner carriers, as well as an extra tent as needed for a coaches meeting and that kind of stuff. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I was just confirming that. So what you're going to be doing is taking them after the second run, take them down to the patio area, take off their skis and any helmets or anything like that, and escort them to the awards staging area, which is inside the rental shop. And once they're in the awards staging area, the awards folks will see them through that process and award them, and you can enjoy the presentation. You'll be there at the same time, and you can have fun watching them get their awards. And then after that, they're back to you. The athletes are back to you, the coaches. So any questions on this? We think it worked pretty well last year. Any questions or concerns? Anybody have any suggestions?
I'm looking at questions now while we look at additional questions. Matt or George, a question was raised about the coaches meet or the coaches race. If in fact we have that, is that something you're just going to handle on site with the coaches, or do they need to register for that? I think that's more of a fun thing than a awarded thing. Is that correct?
Yeah, Matt, you want to handle that?
Yeah, if time permits and weather conditions and everything else, we'll that'll be a day of or morning of decision to see how things are with the race courses and the terrain, what we have available. As Ryan mentioned, the weather is going to be, at least right now, the long-term forecast has it for a little warmer those 3 days. So we'll see how the courses are at the end of Monday and make that decision on Tuesday morning.
And then another question, Matt, I think I'm going to throw this one back to you as well. In regards to Alpine warm-ups, knowing that the courses for the time trials on Sunday will be from 1:30 to 4, warm-ups happening from 12:30 to 3:30, are there separate courses we're looking to have the warm-ups, or is that just throughout the day?
No, there's not going to be any warm-ups on the time trial courses. We're going to be setting those up. The warm-ups is free. The warm-up basically is free skiing only. We're going to be setting the courses up in the morning, and they will be available at any time for a course inspection. But during that time, prior to time trials, the rules will apply. The athletes can go on the courses to do the course inspection, but they must not break the plane at 2 consecutive gates.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Matt. And now we'll go on to the next slide.
Hey, Steve, I do have to correct one thing that I said. I re-looked at the rules from the SO website, SO National website, and I was incorrect with the novice. That was updated, and it is only on the slalom courses that the soft sides are permitted. So Ryan was correct. Any giant slalom course, whether it's novice, intermediate, or advanced, or Super G, is required to have a crash helmet. I apologize for that mistake.
And Mike Marin had a question as well regarding super glide athletes, whether they can use an edgy wedgie to keep their ski tips together. George or Matt,
Yes,
if you can.
For glide and super glide only, not for any of the others, we do allow that device to be used.
Okay, thank you.
I think Mike, I'm probably getting a little technical here, but if they use it in the time trial, they must use it in the competition. So it has to be consistent. And again, that's only the glide super glide.
Okay, Mike, I hope that took care of that for you. I'm muting again.
Thank you, guys. And going back, I don't know, George, if you want to talk about the coaching athletes with the staging and the escorting.
I think Matt, are you ready to handle that?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, sorry, I was on mute.
Okay.
Yeah, the same rule applies for coaching. It's you can coach your athlete all the way up to the entrance until they enter the race course. On the lift, skiing down to the race course itself, outside of the race course, but as soon as they enter the race course area, that is when coaching officially has to stop.
Great. Okay. The awards flow.
For the Alpine Awards flow, so after their second race there, the escorts bring the athletes from the competition area to the awards area. They'll place the skis in the ski racks near the lodge. I believe that's the same place that they'll be kept overnight. The escorts will check athletes and divisions into the awards. A coach or registered delegation volunteer should be in the awards area to cheer on that athlete. We usually have a group of volunteers specifically placed in there just to have that environment where the athletes feel noticed for their accomplishments. Just a note down here, coaches and other delegation volunteers are not allowed in that area. Anna McCauley will very nicely but sternly ask you to leave that area just so they can take care of the business there in a timely fashion and keep everything moving there. So coaching during competition, a lot like Matt just stated, anything about the athletes moving forward or keeping their skis together or being closer to the gates, all of that is fine outside of the course. This might be touched on a slide after, but any time that the athlete's going down the course, the coach can't be skiing alongside of them outside of their gates to kind of keep them moving down the course faster or anything like that. As soon as the athlete's in there, let them do what they were trained to do and showcase their abilities.
And please convey this to any of the family members that may be spectators as well, or any spectators for that matter. As it mentioned in the slide, coaching outside or when the athlete is on the course is not restricted to the coach themselves. It is anyone that is outside the course that may be relaying commands, signals, or anything that can give the athlete an advantage. Sorry, Ryan, I just wanted to touch on that real quick.
Yeah, no, that goes to the offenses here, the consequences of coaching, and you'll see at the very bottom of this, it says this includes other athletes, other teammates, other partners, family members, as well as coaches. So anybody who's given an instruction, could potentially disqualify the athlete and or partner. So none of us want that to happen. So that's your job as coaches to make sure that your individuals, whether they're official member of the delegation or spectators, cheering on the athletes, that they don't do anything to jeopardize a disqualification. The first offense is basically we'll ask the person to leave the course. The second offense is they'll be ejected or removed from winter games. So not only do we not want the athletes to be disqualified, we also don't want to have to deal with the offenses, although we will if need be. So again, as a coach, just remind everybody about the coaching and the consequences there. This is just basically speaking to what I just said. Then we'll move into the overnight ski storage.
So in regards to rental forms, they're required for all ski rentals. We have sent out a link for those outside of the athletes that are going to be on the slopes that day. They can fill those out. So skis may be stored overnight in the private lessons check-in space, like the diagram that we showed earlier. Each delegation will be assigned one or more containers that they can hold their skis in. Last year they were trash bin type of containers, if I remember correctly. So that'll be just for the skis and poles, helmets and boots. All of that will need to store to a separate location. That's just for the skis and poles overnight. And please make sure that your skis are labeled. A lot of them look similar. And during a hectic few days up there, trying to stay moving, it's easy to pick up the wrong one. So make sure it's clear and label those however you see fit. So the head coaches meeting, the purpose of this is to share any updates from the day, kind of prepare for the next. If there's any issues that occurred, kind of keep those from happening again. This will happen Monday, February 24th. It'll be roughly 15 minutes after the competition that will take place in the rental building. It's a very brief meeting. Last year was under 30 minutes just to talk about the day and prepare for the next, like we said.
And Matt, I think we're up to Alpine rules. If you want to hit these.
Yeah, I'm not going to go through all the rules. We'd be here a lot longer if I did. Just want to touch on the helmet rule, of course. Goggles, they are required. As we always talk about the goggles, if there are different types of goggles these days, If it is appropriate ski eyewear, please check with the course officials or bring them to the control center, and we will check them out to make sure that they are valid for wearing on the race course. Pole straps as well. If an athlete has poles, make sure that they're aware the pole straps have to be around their hands before they start. Time trials, one good run. That's all the athlete needs. We recommend doing 2 runs as long as the weather's conditions are fine. We will allow all the athletes to run 2 runs. However, they only need 1 good run in order to heat them appropriately. 1 and 2 minute drill rule. Well, we've touched on this quite a bit in the coach's classroom training the past couple years. Intermediate and advanced, it will be a 1 minute rule as opposed to 2 minutes. If an athlete falls on the course, they have 1 minute to right themselves and continue down the course. Novice is still 2 minutes for any athlete that has an issue on the novice course. I won't go through the rest of these. Let's go. If there's any specific questions, please enter them in. Again, I'm not going to go through, in the interest of time, I'm not going to go through all the rules. The competition will be 2 timed runs, just to remind everybody, for slalom and giant slalom. However, Super G, I do want to touch on this. Super G, the first run is a practice run. There will be 2 runs in Super G, no matter what. The first one is a practice run. The second is a timed run. And as always, we will be giving hand instructions as well as audible instructions at the start gate. And if any athlete has any type of special accommodations outside of what's listed in the rules, please make sure you see an official or find someone in the control center to talk to us so we can let the officials know at that course. Just as an example, we had an issue last year with a parent that was going to be a forerunner that was going to lead the athlete. So if you have any conditions that are outside of the standard rules, please let us know as soon as possible so we can discuss them and make sure the officials are aware. And I think that'll be, again, if there's any other specific questions, please enter them in the side panel or send an email to Ryan at any point, and we will talk about them and answer appropriately.
Some very general on-snow tips here regarding health preparation list. Make sure that all your medicals are on file. We bring a computer with us just so we can print all those, but please, with each of your delegations, have a list of all your athletes' medications and all their medical reports with you at all times. Personal health items, just bring sunscreen, lipstick, chapstick, anything like that for windy, wet, dry conditions, just to keep everybody involved comfortable there. Clothing, obviously dress appropriate for a variety of conditions. We might face some rain like we talked about, maybe some humidity. It's looking 30 or 40% there. Again, around 50 degrees. So put some clothes on. If you need to take some off, nothing wrong with that as long as it's within the guidelines. Eat reasonably, so you're your best level to compete. Stay hydrated, even though you're on snow. It does not mean you're not dehydrating when you're staying mobile there. So stay hydrated, eat well, and you'll perform the best you can there. Regarding accident procedures, do not remove the equipment of the injured person unless they're in immediate danger. The first thing that you do is to notify Ski Patrol. Notify myself or Steve or somebody like that comes after the fact. We would like to know as soon as we can, but please have your first call be Ski Patrol. Make sure that all the other athletes or coaches are staying away from them just so Ski Patrol can get to them in time, and let that Ski Patrol person deal with the athlete partner appropriately then.
And we basically, I mean, as Matt and his crew for Alpine, as always, they will be up on the courses and in contact with Mountain Ops and the Ski Patrol. As Ryan indicated, they're our first go-to if any injuries or incidents occur on the mountain. If something happens in the lodge or that type of thing, you can find somebody with a radio. Any of the Whitetail staff and or any of the games management staff will have radios and notify the appropriate personnel. But as Ryan said, make sure you have those medicals in your hand. We did have an incident at the last on snow training, went very smoothly with Ski Patrol, as well as the delegation had their medicals in hand. Everything went really smoothly. Can't talk more about the professionalism of the Ski Patrol there at Whitetail. We will also have medical team there from Special Mix Maryland, as well as in the hotels and overnight as well. So just want to make sure everyone is comfortable with that. So, you know, as if there are incidents, that type of stuff, we will need to take an incident report and report that for insurance purposes and follow-ups. So the more information we have, the better we can fill that paperwork out and address the issues. So this just gives you a list of the things that may be asked so that you have that as well. Families and spectators, again, along with the tubing, that their rates are available for Special Olympic family members. I believe the rates have fluctuated a little bit. I think it's actually 26 this year for lift ticket and 36 for lift and rental. But that's something that if there's any family members that want to take advantage of it, they go directly to the group sales area and mention that they're part of Special Olympics. This is not something where you go to the regular ticket booths, if you will, that you walk up kind of, as you're going through the line outside. The group sales rental office is right to the, adjacent to the right of the outside ticket booth. So just a refresher that that's where individuals go for that. Family meals, they can be purchased through the Whitetail cafeteria line. And dinner, you know, we have a list of local places in the event guide and obviously at Whitetail for the dinner on Sunday evening. They will be treated as general public, so just want to let everyone know that. The meals or the walking passes, again, as we mentioned earlier, they will be available at the control center, but for any delegation members, we really request that family members on Monday and Tuesday go to the family hospitality area to get their walking passes. If there is a need for walking passes on Sunday during time trials of winter games, as a head coach, or ask your head of delegation, better yet, to come into the control center to get the waivers and to get their walking passes. As a reminder, there is no charge for the walking passes, but we do need to have that waiver to be in compliance with Whitetail. As we mentioned again earlier, merchandise in family hospitality only on Monday and Tuesday in the retail coffee shop. We'll have some specific winter games merchandise, so please stop by and check that out. Say hello to Debbie Credito, our family services director, and there will be some refreshments, light refreshments there for family members. I know it's always a challenge a little bit where athletes and others come in to take advantage of the refreshments. We kindly ask you to direct your individuals from your delegation that this is a family space. We do have limited refreshments, and we want to make sure that our families who are there to support the athletes and partners, that they have that ability to take advantage of the hospitality there. Hydration, as we talked about, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Even in the winter, in the cold months, you don't think you're sweating, but you do. So make sure that all your athletes and yourselves as well stay hydrated throughout the day. And again, as Ryan indicated earlier, dress for all occasions. We're constantly working with Whitetail on a daily basis at this time in regards to weather conditions, but you know, it can be cold, warm, rain, sunny. windy as we did have those situations last year. So again, you can always take layers off, but if you didn't bring layers to add on, you don't have them to stay warm. Just a couple notes here with the special events. Again, the opening ceremony will be at Whitetail in the back patio outside on Sunday evening, weather permitting. Same location as last year. We have asked the head of delegations to work with coaches for each sport to indicate and nominate those athletes and/or partners who want to carry in the banner representing their county program for the opening ceremony, as well as any of the oaths, which are part of the opening ceremony. The dance, the theme of the dance is Under the Sea. Now, we've had questions, what does that mean? Mermaids, Aquaman, Baby Shark, all that kind of stuff would be appropriate if anyone wants to take advantage and wear a costume, that kind of stuff. So we talked about the family reception. Again, as families, we highly encourage the families to go over that. It's a really nice spread and a great opportunity for families to meet other family members, talk about their athletes, have some great ice cream, and just a good camaraderie there with other families and other management, etc. So, as always, the award ceremonies will take place at each one of the venues after the competition, the finals, and their competition runs. And again, as coaches, make sure that you have individuals there to meet the athletes and or partners once they conclude the award ceremonies. For the dinner at Ramada Plaza on Monday evening, there are no tickets. However, everyone who is coming to the dance and or dinner must have their credential. Again, everyone will be staying in the Ramada Plaza, so no one will have to go to another hotel if they forgot. But that's your entry ticket to dinner on Monday evening at the Ramada Plaza, as well as the dance. As we talked about coaching with family members, this is also a chance for you to help us in telling family members that due to capacity and access control, family members who are not part of the official delegation with a credential are not allowed into the dining on Monday evening or the dance. There is a restaurant there located at Ramada Plaza, which they're more than happy to partake in there if they want to have dinner. But with the delegation dinner and the dance, that is for credentialed members only. So we would appreciate your support with that.
With awards and results information, delegations need to have someone dedicated to the awards area just so they can meet those athletes and partners after the presentation. Please have the coaches and families and other delegation members stay out of the equipment rental building. Like we said, Anna McCauley will be in there doing everything awards, staging related. Just keep that clear so we can keep everything moving. The posting results will be on the windows of the pizza restaurant. That is the same as last year, and that's located on the back side of the lodge.
The food services, we talked about that. The one thing I will ask you to disregard is the third bullet point here. As we are all in the Ramada Plaza, you'll see on the next slide where we've designated where we want to have you guys eating by delegation. So with that, I will go to the next slide. And here is, we've broken it down into equal numbers between the 5 and 6 hour and the 6 and 7 hour on Monday back at the Ramada Plaza. Those of you who've been there in the past, you know that it is multiple dining areas with limited seating. So we know that this may not be possible based on competition or travel situations. However, for the most part, please, please, please try your best to adhere to this time frame. So for those of you who may not be able to see the slides, Allegheny, this is for the 5 and 6 o'clock hour. That would be Allegheny, Baltimore City, Cecil, Garrett, Montgomery, Frederick, Howard, and Charles counties. From the 6 to 7 o'clock time slot would be Anne Arundel, Carroll, Harford, St. Mary's, Washington counties, and all of our staff and management personnel. Again, with this being said, that doesn't mean at 6 o'clock, if you were in the 5 to 6 o'clock block, hey, I'm done eating at 5:50 and I'm just going to hang out at my table. Due to the capacity in those dining areas, as soon as you're done eating, please clean up your area and vacate. You can go to your room, hang out for a little bit to make room for the others coming in between the 6 and the 7 o'clock time block for dinner.
Like Steve mentioned, there was one issue with on-snow training, that second session, and their ski patrol there was extremely fast in the response and handled it great. If there was any minor injuries that that athlete or partner was able to go to that clinic, if you go near the control center, near the 2 top area, and go down the steps, that'll take you right to the medical center down there, and they'll be happy to help you out with any issues. The overnight medical contacts at the hotels will be communicated to the head of delegations once we know what those are.
Sorry, I was checking for questions. I'm back to the slides now.
So there's an evaluation survey that's gone out on the emails attached to the request to get your ticket numbers in. That will close on the 25th, just so we can collect those responses and start preparing for next year, because it does take that long. There is a prize for those that complete the survey. Sometimes it's a sweatshirt, mug, something like that.
Just to clarify, not everybody who completes the survey gets a prize. Those who complete will be entered into the drawing.
Right. And Steve, you don't get a prize. Coaches can receive feedback from athletes and enter the athlete's response for the survey. You can kind of scroll down and pick who you are, if you're a coach, an athlete, or so forth, and complete the survey accordingly.
Yeah, and as always, we're getting toward the ends of the presentation, but as you guys well know, without great partnerships with the facilities and the venues, our events can't happen. One of the reasons why our events cannot happen. So we just encourage you guys, as always, to thank the Whitetail staff, the ski patrol, anyone that's representing Whitetail. As a reminder, they are under new management this year. They have a new general manager who we met at the last on-snow training. Very excited, very happy to have us back again. But again, I think to continue that relationship, it's always a very nice thing to appreciate their efforts in making this possible for us, as well as just a general thank you. So that's athletes, partners, coaches, volunteers, parents, anyone who's coming up as a spectator. Is really important to continue that goodwill building. Here's just some additional.
Steve, this is Mike. In terms of feedback, just in the spirit of being open and transparent, which is something we try to do as much as we can, we have had or are in some discussions with the new management at Wisp Resort to potentially move winter games there at some point in the future. One of the things, and Whitetail, the staff at Whitetail, Katrina and her team are aware of that. We love what they're doing, but at the same time, we at least need to explore options of potentially having the Maryland winter games in Maryland. I point that out because we will be having some feedback sessions with athletes on site at winter games. We'll have surveys and such for coaches and all, but a lot of our athletes aren't really well-versed in completing online surveys, so we want to be sure to get feedback from athletes of all levels, and doing that in person is a key component. So want to stress, no decision has been made on that regard, but we will be collecting information. Please manage any expectations as you can. We are not saying at this time that next year's winter games are going to be at Wisp. No decision has been made. We do anticipate making a decision in the next several months, and we'll certainly share that. So just want to make sure, again, in the spirit of transparency, that you all are aware of that.
Yeah, appreciate that, Mike. To piggyback on that, we do have every intention, if in fact a decision is made, that we will go to WISP in next year or the next 2 years or whatever, we do still intend and plan on having our on-snow trainings at Whitetail. So with that being said, again, here's some additional resources. And if you haven't gone to the coach's resource page, we highly recommend you do so. It has our event guide. It has the updated schedule that we just changed today in regards to snowshoeing adjustments. So again, we highly recommend you check that out. There's a Winter Games tab, there's an Alpine tab, and through each of our seasons, it's updated with webinars and other important documents and information for each sport that we offer here in Special Olympics, Maryland. With that being said, here's just a list of some contacts leading into the Winter Games. Hopefully, as Alpine contacts, you all are aware of Ryan Couchner's contact information. Zach Centron for snowshoeing. Melissa Anger is hard at work. Some of you know very well with basketball season, but she will be serving at the control center during Winter Games. And myself, Mike Sarnowski, and all the others here at the state office. Again, we thank you for all of your efforts. We talked about without partnerships of venues and facilities, it's not possible to do what we do. On the same note, don't just thank the staff members at Whitetail, all of the volunteers who have taken time out of their day, life, work to come and support the Winter Games. Make sure that they get a thank you. And on behalf of Special Olympics Maryland, we thank you as coaches. Obviously, without your hard work, dedication, and preparation with the athletes and partners, they're not able to showcase their skills and work through giving their personal bests, and again, just continuing in the joy of a true competition in sports. So we thank you for everything you do as leaders in the organization, and we're here to support you. So as we take a few minutes to see if any other last-minute questions are coming in, if anything comes up between now and games, don't hesitate to reach out to Ryan, myself, and the others that you're aware of. We're here to support you guys to make your jobs not easy necessarily, but at least give you all the proper information so that you can prepare your delegations for a great experience at the Winter Games. So with that, we'll open it up to any questions, and I'm reviewing those now. So in regards to that, a couple final things you need to do is make sure you filled out your forms on the SurveyMonkey for the lift tickets and meals. If there's anyone interested in the possibility of taking advantage of the tubing park, reach out to Ryan no later than Thursday at 2. And again, we'll communicate that information to you guys as appropriate. I don't see any.
Steve, actually, Al indicated he has one last question. Al, your phone line should be open.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great.
Yep. Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, I just got something that I know we talked about earlier as far as verifying that the helmets are, have the FIS sticker on the back. So we'll need to do that then Sunday, when we come up and check in.
Al, I don't know if it's just my line or others, but you did break up. If I heard you correctly, I think it was even if they have the stickers on the helmets already, we still want to do a check and put the new stickers on. Was that your question?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, we still want to do a final check on those. I know some of the stickers that we ordered last year and we had remainder this year, they're not the best to stick on the helmets during wet and cold weather. The new ones we have ordered are much more stable and kind of like a permanent, and they look really nice. So we would appreciate the opportunity to do one last inspection and give you the new stickers. With that, I don't see any other questions. So again, on behalf of Special Olympics Maryland, we thank you for taking time out of your schedule tonight with the pre-comp webinar for Alpine. Again, this will be posted on the website at the Coaches Resources link that we shared with you earlier. If not tonight, at some point tomorrow, along with the slides with the link to listen to the recording as well. Now, as we said, any questions that come up between now and then, don't hesitate to reach out to us. And have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.